The man accidentally discovered a group of people using a crane to lift a 10-pound potted plant. He curiously approached them and asked, "Why are you using a crane to lift something that can be picked up with one hand?" The female boss looked at him with disdain, thinking that he was trying to chat her up. The next second, the man easily took the potted plant down from the crane. Everyone who saw this, everyone who witnessed this scene, looked at the man in disbelief. Little did they know that the strength of all humanity had already diminished by 100-fold. Lifting a brick with one hand was the limit for an ordinary person. Even a regular ceramic tile required 4 people to move it. And if you could eat 20 grains of white rice in one sitting, you would undoubtedly be a true glutton. He was the only man in the world whose strength had not diminished. He is also the strongest man in the world today, yet he was completely unaware of this fact. Thus, the earlier scene unfolded. The female boss, seeing the man's terrifying strength, brought him back to the company. Her lifelong dream had been to marry a mighty warrior, and the man before her was the perfect spouse she had always dreamed of. But the man thought the female boss was joking with him. After all, it was just a small potted plant. He hadn't even exerted any force. But just then, the construction site called him back to work. After hanging up the phone, she hurriedly bid farewell to the female boss. When the man returned to the construction site, he saw 3 co-workers struggling to lift a tile. The supervisor scolded him without hesitation. It was because the tile had originally been a task for 4 people. If he hadn't left early, the other 3 workers wouldn't have had to struggle so much. The man thought the supervisor was joking. Was such a small tile really worth 4 people? He then walked over and picked up the tile with one hand to show them. The workers were all stunned. They found it hard to believe. Seeing how strong the man had become, the supervisor immediately looked at him with new respect. He thought that such a person would surely achieve great things in the future. He immediately apologized to the man for what had happened earlier. He also gave the man a day off. He told him to go home and rest properly. However, the man misunderstood and thought the supervisor wanted to fire him. He grabbed the supervisor's hand and pleaded with him. He hoped the supervisor wouldn't fire him. If he lost this job, his girlfriend would break up with him. But before he could finish speaking, his girlfriend walked over with a wealthy young man. It turned out she had already betrayed him. She had come to break up with him. Watching the 2 of them show affection in front of him, the man's heart was filled with rage. He was about to confront them, but then he learned from his girlfriend that the wealthy young man was a professional boxer. They advised him not to overestimate his abilities. This forced him to back down. However, the other party refused to let it go. He picked up a 1-pound brick and flaunted it in front of the man. The co-workers who witnessed this scene turned pale. This was almost the limit of human capability, but the man dismissed it with disdain, because he could easily lift 10 bricks. He was about to step forward and teach the other guy a lesson, but he was stopped by the supervisor. The supervisor explained that the rich kid was powerful and influential. They weren't ordinary laborers who could afford to offend him. Seeing that the man had regained his composure, the supervisor pulled out a stack of cash. He humbly begged the rich kid not to take it personally. However, the rich second-generation man didn't even bother with the money. Not only did he beat the man in public, he even declared that this group of laborers were only fit to be trampled under his feet. But the supervisor warned the rich second-generation man that the man's strength was formidable. Yet the rich second-generation man didn't take it seriously, and instead ordered the supervisor to make the man kneel down and kowtow to him. As he spoke, he increased the pressure on the man's hand. The boss screamed in pain. Seeing that the boss was about to lose his hand, the man had no choice but to kneel before the rich second-generation heir. But the rich second-generation heir had no intention of letting them off the hook. Seeing this, the man could no longer tolerate it. He immediately wanted to attack the rich second-generation heir, but at that critical moment, the female boss suddenly came to the man's aid. The rich second generation saw the woman acting this way for a construction worker. He warned her not to interfere, but he didn't know that the female boss was doing this to save him, because she knew the man's strength was extraordinary. But when she mentioned that the man could move a 10-pound potted plant, the rich second generation couldn't help but laugh. He then swung a punch at the man. Everyone was stunned. They couldn't believe it. A professional boxer had been knocked flying by an ordinary construction worker. Seeing how powerful the man was, the female boss immediately asked him to help her to represent their company in a boxing competition, because it was a matter of life and death for their company. But the man refused. He was just a laborer. How could he possibly be a match for those professional boxers? But the ability he had just demonstrated had already surpassed human limits. The female boss had already set her sights on the man. To win him over, she even offered to marry him. The man found it hard to believe. The daughter of the richest man in the country was begging him on her knees. He decided decided to agree first and see what happened. The female boss was overjoyed. To thank the man, she offered him a monthly salary of 3 million yuan, but also invited him to dine at the most luxurious restaurant. Little did he know, this meal gave him a clear understanding of the world. It took a group of waitstaff to carry a single plate of dishes. Not only were the portions extremely small, but there were only 20 grains of rice. The man thought it was a prank by the restaurant. He immediately asked the waitstaff to bring him a bowl of rice. The waitstaff reported this to the manager. The manager, upon hearing this, mistakenly thought the man was causing trouble. He then arranged for 4 waitstaff to bring a pot of rice. He told the man, "If you can finish all of this today, this meal will be free for you. If you can't finish it, you must kneel and apologize." The man immediately began eating. In less than 2 minutes, he had finished all the food on the table. The manager was completely speechless upon seeing this.